What's up, Black Sheep, and welcome back to a new video. So I have been guided to just post a few more readings. I feel like Spirit is just showing me how much the collective is going through shifts and changes, and I'm right alongside with you. The last few videos that I've posted have all been tarot readings, and normally I alternate more between Black Sheep content and readings, but I feel like it's all kind of coming together in a way where I'm getting more clear about who I'm reading for and who this collective is. So if you've been supporting me, if you've been showing love to the channel, thank you so much for that. If you like these readings, please be sure to subscribe, especially if you're a Black Sheep or cycle breaker, if you're a first generation person living in a new place, if you're a third culture kid, if you're a creative, an artist. That's really the type of community that I'm cultivating here. But what made me want to sit down and record this reading is that I kept getting the image of snakes and snake skin, snakes shedding their skin, and even the idea of like exfoliating. Maybe you've got a new kind of exfoliating serum or toner or a scrub or something like that. Maybe you got a new body scrub that you're trying out in the shower, or a different scent than you normally have. Maybe you've been more called to like really kind of do like a deeper cleanse of your skin, of your hands, of your feet. Something like that seems to be coming up a lot, but also the idea of just death and rebirth. And like, this is just kind of a tricky energy, right? I feel like so much of what I've shared in recent readings has been about you stepping into something bigger, right? The last reading I posted was all about how you're not settling anymore and how you are learning to create a life of freedom for yourself in a way that you've never done before. And that's all very exciting and it sounds great, but also in practice, it's really hard. Like, learning not to settle means that you are learning not to settle means that you are going through a lot of goodbyes. It means that you're going through a lot of transition and a lot of change. And that is always really difficult because we don't like knowing we don't like going into the unknown. We don't like not knowing what's coming next, whether that's on an ego level, whether that's on a subconscious level. Humans don't love change, and we especially don't love change when we don't have all the details about where we're going, right? It's like you're going to an event and you have like a general address, but you don't know what the parking situation is like. You barely know what the dress code is like. You don't know anyone who's going to be there. Like, there's a lot of anxiety and nerves that come with that, even if the event in itself is not something that makes you nervous. And that's kind of what I'm getting here. It's like I'm hearing that you're showing up to life differently. A lot of you could be artists, maybe you are creatives, maybe you have your own business, maybe you're balancing working a business and a day job. Whatever the situation is for you, like, you're doing all the same things in your day-to-day life, but you are showing up to them differently. I'm hearing you're showing up to them trying to be more clear-minded, and I'm also getting a weird visual of like, if you have ever had a pet lizard or a bearded dragon or anything like that, sometimes they need extra help shedding like the skin off their eyes. Sorry if that's like grossing you out, but I've seen people like have to take like a little like tweezer type thing and just kind of like help peel it off the eye. And that's kind of what I'm seeing. So as gross as the visual might be for you, you're showing up with a new perspective. And it's not just your like physicality that's changing or your physical location. It is the you that you are bringing to the things in your life that might look the same on the outside is a different you. And this is where patience comes in, because while a lot of us may be like, okay, mentally I'm committing to change, when everything in our real life still looks the same, it gets really hard to stick to it. It gets really hard to stick through it, right? It's like going to the gym and you don't see any difference in your body. You don't see any gains. You're just like, what? Like, I'm showing up and I'm going over and over again, and it doesn't even feel like there's a reason why I'm doing that. I might just be wasting my time. Like, that's kind of the energy that you might feel. So right now you might be on this like a I'm getting kind of two different energies. For some of you, you're like very excited and you're like, yes, like I've committed to all this change. All these things in my life are going to be different. But there might be a little bit of a dip in that energy. I'm hearing second week of June. So there might be like another week that goes by where you're kind of dipping down and it doesn't feel so great anymore. It feels like you have to stick to the thing without any reason why. So it's like you don't get the satisfaction of like the old addiction or the old habit or the old mindset or the old comfort, but you also don't have the new thing yet. And so you're just kind of in this floating period where it's up to you to decide how much you want to trust. It's up to you to decide which, like, it's like if these two are buckets, like it's up to you to decide which bucket you're going to pick up and how you're going to continue showing up. Are you going to be able to keep making the same decisions day after day after day, even on the hard days, even on the days where the things just aren't feeling like they're ever actually going to change? So that's the energy for some of you. For others, you are completely exhausted. Your nervous system is struggling. You feel like you're struggling. And the thing that you need the most right now is rest. And getting back to this analogy of like snake skin, like it's something that naturally is going to shed for them. The things, if you are coming to this reading feeling exhausted, if you don't have this like wind of like, yes, like this big change, I'm moving, I'm like, if you're not that person right now and you're feeling completely exhausted, this part is for you. The idea of the snakeskin, the idea of the shedding, because it's natural, it means that it will happen on its own. And the more that you allow yourself to commit to rest and trust your body and trust the movement of your life, the more that you will be able to ease into this transition rather than continually what's the word? It's like hyping yourself up almost, right? It's like if you're exhausted and you're pushing through it and waiting for the next big break, and like the energy that you're putting towards the things in your life it's not going to be as good as it could be. And so you might be the type of person who's forced yourself to do things over and over and over again because maybe you have chronic pain, maybe you have a chronic illness, maybe it's just other things in your life where you know you're not going to be able to count on having the energy. And because of that, you push through and you push through and you push through. And in my last reading about settling, I actually talked a lot about this idea of self-sacrifice and how if you are continuously self-sacrificing for your business or your goals or your big dream or your purpose or your art, then you're not fully in alignment, right? Because like every now and then, of course, there's a time where we're not going to feel motivated and we just have to be disciplined. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when you genuinely are sacrificing so much of yourself that you are burning out over and over and over again. You constantly have this idea that you feel like you need to earn rest. You constantly have this idea that you have to earn something good, or you have to deserve something, or you get the good thing if you suffered enough. It felt like the right thing for you to continuously exhaust yourself. It might be an idea that you were taught when you were younger. It might be something that people in your family praised themselves on. But there was some factor here where you felt like, and it could just be bragging rights. It could be because you want people to say, oh my God, they work so hard. Like, look at them go. Whatever it was, there was some satisfaction coming out of this place of burnout. And honestly, sometimes it's just straight up self-sabotage where we don't have to think more deeply about the bigger things in life if we're constantly exhausted. We don't have to think deeper about the ways in which you had been settling because you were constantly just running on that survival mode. You're releasing that story. And for some of you, you may have actually made a decision recently that's very different than any decision you normally would have made. Maybe it's like even a vacation or a birthday and you're normally like a traveler and you want to like hike and like do all these things and go see all these places and like see everything you could possibly see, and instead you're like, I am just slowing down. I'm choosing, not that I love them because they can be not the best ethically, but like I'm choosing an all-inclusive resort. My vacation is going to be just sitting on the beach and reading. My time off of work or my days off work, like I'm not doing anything productive. I'm just letting myself be. There's some decision or some switch that you made in your mind recently about approaching something in a different way. And again, this is like the skin shedding. It's the skin on the eye. It's this idea that you are bringing a new version of yourself, and by you choosing the fact that you need rest, by you choosing your body, by you choosing what's right for you on a deeper level, you may have missed out on like the surface level instant gratification. You may have missed out on something that could have, looked better on the outside, but you finally chose you. You finally chose the version, like the inner you, and you looked at your energy levels, you looked at who you really are, you looked at what you want to create, and you realized like it's not worth the self-sacrifice anymore. And that's exactly the pattern that you broke, is the pattern of self-sacrifice. It's the pattern of self-sabotage. Okay, Spirit, what do we need to know about this breaking of a cycle? Okay, what do we need to know about moving forward? Ooh, what do we need to know about moving forward? Okay, so I got a few cards about the cycle itself, so I'm going to start with those, and then we're going to talk about how you're going to move forward, okay? So, whoa. Okay, almost all of these cards are in reverse, which doesn't happen very often, at least in my reading. So I have the Four of Cups in reverse. I have the Strength card in reverse. I have the Seven of Wands in reverse. And then the only upright card I have is the Seven of Pentacles. I was hearing the word reserves when I was looking at the Strength card, and I feel like over and over and over again, you have been depleting your reserves. And also for the crowd of you who like had this burst of energy and like all this change is happening and everything's going to be different now. Like, again, I don't want to minimize that, because that is the energy that you need or that you can use to push yourself into change, to push yourself into a new direction. But also, I feel like the connection for you a lot of the time is people pleasing. So you like kind of look around you and see what everyone else is doing, or this may have been a habit that you had in the past, and you would base a lot of your decisions off of other people. And so now your bigger challenge is to see like how long can you stick with this, or how true and how authentic are these choices and these decisions that you're making. And we're allowed to experiment. We're allowed to switch directions at any time. We're allowed to set new goals. We're allowed to go backwards, like whatever. And whatever it is like that you're setting your mind to, the question is always going to come back down to you. Are you going to be able to sustain this on your own? Or do you need people around you who are constantly echoing this message back to you in order to stick to it? Right? So that, again, that's a message for that collective of people who is like going through this burst of energy and like, I'm pushing through, I've got this, like, but like, what are those reserves coming from? And take a minute to notice like, okay, I'm gathering all this energy from people around me, but as soon as I don't have these opinions being echoed, as soon as I don't have these perspectives being shown to me from the outside, then what do I do? Then where is this reserve coming from? Okay, so that's for some of you. For the other collective here who's like just truly exhausted, you overuse your reserves all the time. I'm seeing like a gas tank completely on empty, but like you're pushing it, you're just trying to drive to like a better gas station or somewhere further. You just have to keep going. But like when you are constantly not refueling yourself, when you're not nourishing yourself, when you're not choosing like healthy reserves and healthy ways to regain that energy, and you're just constantly forcing yourself to push through the exhaustion and push through the burnout, that is where you are I'm hearing losing steam, but not just that. That's where you're losing your connection to your purpose and to your bigger goal. So for some of you, that connection to your purpose is influenced by the external. And for others of you, it's so internally guided that you then like lose connection to this grounded reality that you're in. And it's like the kind of energy where you're like working. There could be a lot of like overlap of people who are neurodivergent here as well. And I am too. And like sometimes we just get so wrapped up in what we're doing or these creative ideas or these things that we like forget to drink water and we forget to eat and we forget to have a routine. And so if you're doing that constantly, that's where the issue's coming in. But what I'm also seeing is that you're realizing that like you're the only thing worth fighting for. With this 7 of Wands in reverse, like you've been on guard for so long. You've been like fighting and like pushing up against this hill. I'm getting like the myth of Sisyphus, right? Like the boulder up the hill, the constant effort. And for you, you are coming out of this, you're realizing like I'm the only thing worth fighting for this much. And fighting for myself also means taking really good care of myself. Fighting for myself means like respecting myself and trusting myself and knowing that if things are slowing down in one way or another, I trust the journey. I trust that my need for rest is more important than any instant gratification I'm going to get on the outside, because I'm rerouting this to a better kind of relationship with myself. Okay. And also, again, like this lack of being able to tend to the self, the 4 of Cups in reverse, we're seeing, yeah, like you're this is kind of a weird energy, but like I'm hearing like I'm not going to get out of bed for less than X amount of money, right? Like it feels like that, but different. It feels like there's something here about waiting for things to be handed to you and then getting resentful when they're not immediately given to you. And so this has been a hard balance, because on the one hand, you're like, I'm fighting. I'm constantly sacrificing myself. I'm giving up my body. I'm giving up my self-care. I'm giving up my free time for this thing. But then at the same time, like you're so depleted that one rejection or one, off day, or like something not going right immediately makes you turn on yourself and question everything. And then the cycle starts over, just emphasizing this exhaustion. Because for you, your priority was not you. Your priority was like pushing this boulder up this hill of your career or your purpose or whatever it is that you're putting yourself out there for. And with this 7 of Pentacles upright, again, there's a little bit of this energy still here of like, I'm waiting for something. I'm waiting for my, seeds to sprout. I'm waiting for this garden to begin to blossom. But you're like, you're becoming more aware of when that energy is coming up, and you're able to see it as like, okay, am I just sitting around and waiting, or am I getting angry, or am I learning how and where I can take action? And for the group of you who also was like, like excited about this change and like really, pushing it and like, yes, I'm doing this. Again, that second week of June, or that kind of like follow-up energy is coming up, where you might also start to feel a little bit like, okay, but where's my results? Like I'm doing these things, but I also am kind of doing them because I have this expectation in mind. And so as soon as you like the universe is almost like poking holes in that a little bit and being like, okay, well, the expectation isn't there. And if the expectation isn't coming through, can you still stick to it? Can you still commit to the change? Are you doing it for you or for other people? How do we move forward, right? So I can't really show it, but I have the Devil card here, and it also came out with the 6 of Cups. The Devil energy is representing this, like the holes being poked in these theories, in these expectations, in like Are you doing it because you're getting X, Y, and Z? Are you doing it because of your expectation or your attachment or your, like, the thing that you're telling yourself is a good enough reason to make this change? Or are you doing it for you? And with the Six of Cups, this is also saying, like, there's a tenderness here. You're moving forward by regaining your relationship with your inner child, but also a little bit through the softening of your inner critic, right? Like that voice in your mind that's constantly telling you you're not good enough. You need to be this way. You need to change this about yourself. You need to do this, but in a different way, or you're never going to get there. You're never going to have all these things that you want. Like that voice that keeps coming up, you're moving forward by committing to the change through self-compassion, through joy, right? In June, I was actually just listening to a podcast, Tarot for the Wild Soul by Lindsay Mack, and I love, love, love her work with tarot and her interpretations of tarot. And something she was talking a lot about, specifically for the month of June, if that's when you're watching this, is this idea that June is going to be joyful, but you have to make the time to create that joy. You have to commit to it. You have to find these little pockets, even if it's 10 minutes here or an hour here, to reconnect to that joy, to turn your mind off, to turn the critic off, and to just stop pressuring yourself enough to stop and smell the roses. As you do that, as you take this time for tenderness, for ease, for rest, you are going to connect to your purpose in a way that is so much more divine. And I feel like there's been like a little bit of a drop off. If you're still here, if you're still watching this video, what they're really wanting me to affirm to you and reiterate to you is that things are going to improve, but you can't just cling on to that expectation as the reason why you're committing to the change. But genuinely, things are about to get so much better and get so much easier for you, but it's because of the person that you're becoming in this process. When you are choosing rest, when you're choosing the ability to try and regulate your nervous system in small steps at a time. This could be you just doing EFT tapping, right? I have a few videos out on EFT tapping. I also have an entire course on raising your self-worth for Black Sheep and Cycle Breakers, where I have an entire hour-long EFT session specifically around raising your self-worth and like reintegrating this belief that you are enough, that I wrote for people who grew up in toxic families, people who grew up in difficult childhood dynamics, people who identify as the generational cycle breaker or the black sheep. I made this specifically for you. So if you're interested in like, well, how do I regulate my nervous system? Where do I even start? I don't want to like be on my own in this. I have that EFT practice plus an entire somatic routine that's like very accessible. That's very easy to get into. It's not going to be a lot of high energy. It's very much like coming home to the self. And if that is interesting to you, I will link that course in the description below. You can also find it at my website, blacksheepexperience.com. But there are so many ways to get into nervous system regulation that doesn't have to be a whole massive commitment. I've literally done EFT tapping or like deep breathing, like in like a closet at work or in a bathroom or in my car, like right before I go into a shift or on my lunch break. Like, so many people want you to think that you have to go to a 7-day retreat to start making changes in your life. And like, you do not. These tools should be accessible for the busy everyday person. And that's kind of why I create a lot of content and like simple somatic practices and things like that in the way that I do, because I believe that this is for everyday people. But aside from that tangent, yeah, like I got the Tower card as I was shuffling, and this is showing me that you are becoming the kind of person who can commit to your purpose, who can show up to your existing life with a new perspective, with a new version of themselves that they're able to offer. And as you show up to things differently, things will become different. If you're waiting for life to get sweeter, but every opportunity you have for rest or to see your friends or to hang out with your partner or to just be with your dog or to just sit and read at home or whatever, if you're constantly guilting yourself for that or shaming yourself or telling yourself that you haven't earned it or that you don't deserve it, you are not going to be able to find those moments. You're not going to be able to just stumble into a life of sweetness if you're not taking the actions and the care that you are meant to in this process. The final card here, Eight of Pentacles, yeah, you're just working hard and you're putting in the work, and there's a part of you that wants to rush all of this. There's a part of you that wants to speed through this entire process, but like the sweetness really is in the slowing down and in the ups and downs of this journey. Again, you're going to be re-triggered to like give up the change, to go back to the old ways, to go back to the old habits, to just look for something familiar. But the slower you go and the less you expect of yourself, and the more that you're willing to just be in the journey without expecting it to be perfect, and also without shaming yourself when it's not, that is the sweet spot. That's where you get to be in flow. That's where you get to be present. And that's where the change happens, because you have a micro moment of like, okay, do I just like sit on the couch and doom scroll, or do I maybe just like pick up a pen and I can still sit on the couch, but I'm like doodling, or I'm writing in my journal, or I am, like crocheting, or whatever it is that you like to do. Those are little micro opportunities where you can make different decisions. And so I'm going to probably wrap this reading up here, but know that like there's so much so much impact happening in these tiny moments of you being present, in these tiny moments of you choosing differently. And sometimes that's when the choice is the easiest to go back, right? It's like no one else is at home. No one's going to know if I sit on my couch and doom scroll for 2 or 3 hours. Like, I'm just going to watch a couple of videos, and then 2 or 3 hours go by and you're like, what did I do with my evening? It's that kind of energy where no one's going to come and reprimand you, but it's up to you to commit. It's up to you to find enough joy in the present moment that you're not creating all of this change just for the one day something will happen. You're creating it for now. You're creating it for what you want to be. And that's why this time necessitates sweetness. It necessitates compassion. Right? It's very necessary that you are going slow enough that each move has more purpose, rather than autopilot, but I'm doing all these things and everything's so busy on the surface, but I'm just like, no. Like it's time to take any opportunity you can to rest, to slow down, to find a little bit of ease, and to choose differently. If you would like a one-on-one reading, I have voice recorded readings that are more affordable, and I have virtual Zoom readings that are more in-depth. All of them are going to be available at blacksheepexperience.com. I also have self-worth coaching sessions. So if the themes of unworthiness or feeling not good enough are really coming up for you right now, that's exactly what a self-worth coaching session is for. I also want to clarify that a lot of people don't necessarily come in being like, I have a self-worth issue. They're just like, I have this problem. I feel stuck in this place. And we're able to kind of untangle this web of limiting beliefs and mindset shifts that kind of get you back to a place of feeling like you are enough, like you can believe that you might just be enough. That's what you can expect from a self-worth coaching session. And the course that I plugged earlier, it's called the Self-Worth Blueprint for Black Sheep and Cycle Breakers. That's also going to be available at blacksheepexperience.com. Follow me on Instagram, especially if you live in Denver, to come get an in-person reading from me in the month of June. Find out where I'm going to be and all the events that I'm attending this month on my Instagram. And with that being said, I love you so, so much. Remember that you're worthy, whether you believe it or not.